Good afternoon, Cedarfield family. Happy May 20th. I hope this live stream finds you well. Those of you that are here at the community, those of you that are listening tonight, I hope you had a healthy and well day. Thank you for viewing this tape recording and finding out a little more information about our Cedarfield Forward Phase 1 plan. Before we go into that, the format of today is just yours truly. We're going to work on a little bit of a condensed version here of our live stream because we have a very important service of remembrance here at 4 o'clock that we need to get ready for. But first, I thought I'd start off with just a few words about a bridge over troubled waters. In putting some words together last night, in our walk through life, we absolutely go through different seasons. There are seasons where we are experiencing good times, blessings, one after another. And during these times, we sing songs, we rejoice, and we absolutely celebrate. Then there are seasons where we feel like we are just going through a drought and a famine. This is when the tests and trials come. A test of our experiences, our strength, our faith. To get from point A to point B in our life journey, we have to go through troubled waters. In these waters, there are many temptations that will absolutely take you under. It doesn't matter what your status is in society. It doesn't matter how smart you are. You can't travel from point A to point B absolutely on your own strength. The song that you just listened to, Simon & Garfunkel, I'm sure 90% of you out there are very familiar with, like a bridge over troubled waters. Actually, 50 years ago, this month, I believe it's this month, that song hit the top billboards. And it rang through the top billboards for 6 straight weeks. Here's a picture of a bridge. This bridge that you see here on TV is a bridge in New Hope, Bucks County. It crosses the Delaware River. It's actually where George Washington crossed the Delaware. It's a little town called New Hope. And it goes over to Lambertville, New Jersey. And I vividly remember going to New Hope. Bucks County is my hometown. I spent the better part of 28 years there. And Simon & Garfunkel, who actually just sang the song you just listened to, Like a Bridge Over Troubled Waters, lived in New Hope, Bucks County. But more importantly, just a little personal story. My grandfather on my dad's side, I call him Papa, he would take me to this bridge. When I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, he would often take me to this bridge. And this bridge, you can actually walk across. It's got to this day, you can walk from one side to the other. And you're actually viewing the bridge from the north side. If you were to go on the south side of the bridge, where my grandfather would take me once we crossed the bridge and we sat on the shores of the Delaware River, there's all these rapids on this other side. We would just go past those rapids and often go fishing. It's one of the reasons why I just love fly fishing. And Renee has said I can take a month off here and go fly fishing in the hills of Virginia come June. Anyway, side story. So this is the bridge that yours truly went to with Pop. And my Pop would often talk to me about the analogy of the bridge and troubled waters. And we would, maybe twice a month, we'd go up to New Hope and we just spend time in this particular area. And he would often tell me, Michael, you're going to go through lots of situations in life where you're either going to be crossing a bridge or You're going to be helping build a bridge for yourself. You're going to be helping build a bridge for other people. And you're going to be tempted along the way to just go through those rapids and try to get across the river just as quickly as you can. But there's a reason why people build bridges. There are practical things that we can do to stay on the bridge. This is a big issue because we have a tendency to move away from the bridge and venture out into the waters of temptation. However, you all know, team members, residents, and families listening, over and over again, that these waters turn us, and they have the ability to really turn our lives in real trouble if we think that the rapids underneath these bridges that we're able to fight by ourselves. Other times these troubled waters are actually looking for us. Sometimes the water's trying to call us in, and we are tempted. But the bridge is the best place to be. On the bridge, either building the bridge or walking across the bridge is the best bridge to be on. So I view, the reason I play this song, it's one of those childhood memories that I just will never forget. But I also play this song because I really view the Cedarfield Forward 3-phase plan as a bridge. Certainly as a bridge over troubled waters. We've been building this bridge here for the last couple of weeks, and we didn't really have a bridge throughout the last 12 weeks, but we do have a bridge. We're beginning to cross that bridge. And I pray often for the residents, I pray often for the team members and the families that are out there to stay sure-footed on the bridge. I know these past 12 weeks have been tough on all of us, and I'm reminded again and again when I go home in my quiet space and reflect on the day to help myself stay on the bridge. Look at the troubled waters that are underneath us and continually trying to build the bridge. Build the bridge to normalcy. And so, we have built a bridge here in Phase 1. Phase 1 is not a grand opening. It's probably the most frequently asked question that Renee and I have received over the last 24 hours. Hip hip hooray! Tomorrow's the day! Tomorrow! Where are the appetizers? Today is not a grand opening day. There's no champagne in the fellowship hall here. There is no appetizers. There is a bridge over troubled waters, though. And we delivered today to every resident in the cottages and the apartments and assisted living, we delivered a Cedarfield Forward Phase 1 plan. That is the bridge to get us through these troubled waters over the next however long. We hope that Phase 1 does not last more than 4 weeks, but we will see how this next 4 weeks goes to gauge whether we should retreat a little bit about Phase 1 or press forward over the bridge into Phase 2. So we will begin over the next 2 weeks to really, again, look at what is involved in Phase 1 and then start to develop the details around Phase 2. So hopefully everybody, every resident, every team member, families that are listening tonight, you can certainly go onto our Touchtown mycedarfield.com website and pull down this plan and review it. If anyone has any questions, we do have actually 3 most frequently asked questions already that have come in about this particular plan, and they are as follows. How many men called already? probably 37 men already called and said, well, what about the barber? The barber's not listed on phase one. And there's a reason for that. We could not get a hold of the barber up until about 17 minutes ago. A little bit longer than that, maybe 27 minutes ago. We finally got a call back from him. And so that's the reason why the barber is not listed on phase one. However, he did give us good news, and we're just going to continue the process. So if you, to the men out there, if you use the services of the barber here at Cedarfield, you would naturally go through what you've always done in order to get a reservation through him. So that process has not changed. If you are a new male resident at Cedarfield and are interested, call the concierge desk, and then they will walk you through that reservation process. So that's the first most frequently asked question. The second is, when does this plan start? And it starts tomorrow. Team and the residents have been working hard to put all the details in place. So the plan, we wanted to get it out into the hands of everyone, and the plan actually officially starts tomorrow. And then the third most frequently asked question is, I got the barbershop, I got the starts tomorrow. Masks outside. Most frequently asked question. The third big question has to do with masks outside. And so, which leads us right into our shared values. Thank you for that. So, it should be a common practice that you don't leave home without it. That is the mask. Don't ever leave home without the mask. And yours truly has my mask. I don't leave home without it. So when you leave your apartment or your cottage, I would continue to bring your mask with you. Wear your mask in the hallways. If you are outside, even if you're outside and you are socially distant from people, I would continue to wear your mask for safe measure. But if you're walking around and enjoying Mother Nature, wanting to take in that fresh oxygen, then I would encourage you, and not just I, but the Department of Health would encourage you to take off your mask so that you can breathe in that great fresh air. Hopefully that puts a little color to it. Any other questions come in? Frequently asked questions? No? So, what time is it? I just want to emphasize one thing. If you all could do me a favor, for those of you that have gone to your mailbox and or have retrieved this underneath your door, in this stapled packet, there's a memo on the front page. On the second page, if you turn over that page, on the back, it talks about our mission, keeping everyone safe. And then it talks about these shared values. Yesterday, when we were talking about it's a matter of trust, moving into these first three phases, I'm hoping that everyone will take some serious time to reflect and hopefully make these shared values a part of your daily rhythm now. These are our shared values that we are going to live by day in and day out in order for us to cross this bridge over troubled waters. So just as a review, the first is to constantly wear your mask. I don't wear this Darth Vader mask at home. I wear one of the masks that my bride made for me when I'm at home. So I would encourage you to even wear your mask if you go to your son or daughter's house. Protect yourself from other people, even family and friends. So wearing your mask not only in public, but out and about would be highly advisable to protect yourself. Number two, we are going to really as we have been for the last 12 weeks, staying physically distant at least 6 feet apart. This is a really critical one. This one has not fallen off of the CDC list or the Department of Health. Third, taking personal responsibility to follow the rules or change your behavior. I'm reminded of one of the songs we played last week by Michael Jackson, "A Man in the Mirror." Just looking yourself in the mirror and reflecting on what is a new norm, not just for Cedarfield, but for all of society, and looking at yourself and determining whether you are complying with the new rules and new ways of living in order to keep yourself safe and to keep the people around you safe. Developing collaborative plans to ensure that we have a very diverse opinion. The Cedarfield resident is an accomplished resident. You all have great education, great experiences. The team members as well, great insights, great experiences, great education. Renee and I were just talking about it the other day. The staff are a version of the residents with a lot of opinion and a lot of great insight. And so I really feel good about this plan, and as collaborative as we could have made a plan. Not only residents have contributed to this plan, team members have contributed, families, our resident council, vendors, our Pinnacle Living Office, the Department of Health, and epidemiologists. All to say that we really took to heart what the governor had to say with his 3-phase plan in addition to federal guidelines. So I really feel good about our first phase plan in concert with this particular shared value. Utilizing our Cedarfield Pathways Wellbeing philosophy to guide your overall being. We have just an awesome philosophy of well-being here at Cedarfield that is so incredibly unique to not only retirement communities, but nursing homes and assisted livings, but many other institutional organizations. It's a gift to us. The residents and staff created this Pathways to Wellness almost 6 years ago. It's one of the reasons why we have this building in the middle of our courtyard. We should all wrap ourselves around these 9 domains of well-being and utilize it to better our life. So it's a shared value. Safer at home practices. When we go out, don't forget good hygiene. Don't forget to wash your hands frequently just because you're at your son or daughter's house, or you're maybe at a restaurant in a short pump area. Continue to wash your hands and utilize cleaning solutions to make sure that your hands are free and clean, free of any virus. Because we're all tempted to touch our face, especially when we're wearing masks and we have itches and that cloth is hitting our skin. So clean hands is just so incredibly important. Implementing aggressive infection control steps in our own homes. So we've started to roll out housekeeping here, and Sharon and Dave Brown have been going around the community assessing apartments and cottages, and we're going to start the cleaning process next week. But taking other steps beyond housekeeping. We got many questions from residents that, oh, well, housekeeping is going to take care of my infection control. And so I would just encourage everyone to look yourself in the mirror and what are your infection control standards? When housekeeping is not there, what's your infection control standards in your own car? What's your infection control standards once you get back to your home? How are you cleaning it? Are you cleaning your shoes? Those are all just other little things to be mindful of in implementing your own infection control. Inform. So this is a really important one. This is outlined in the plan itself. If you become sick, and I'm talking to residents, family members, team members, agency folks, if you're sick, if you got the sniffles, if you've got a sore throat, a temperature, whether you have been exposed to a prolonged exposure, meaning somebody is either being tested or has been known to have COVID-19, and you are in that exposure, you need to tell somebody. You need to tell Ann Hopper in the clinic, or come down to administration and tell us. And the new term everyone needs to get comfortable with, if you are on someone's contact tracing list, you need to tell us. It's important that you tell us that you're on someone's list. Because if you don't, you potentially are exposing other people here in the community. And so contact tracing list is important. It's the most effective way to keep people safe when someone does come down with COVID-19. Seek guidance. So when in doubt, please feel free to call. Everyone should have my cell phone number. We've been showing it on the screen for 12 weeks. If you need guidance, please call the administration office. You can email us. 92 people emailed us over the last 48 hours, so it's no secret how to get a hold of the administration folks. You can certainly feel free to call any department director for guidance. We are all in concert with this plan, and certainly Ann Hopper in the Wellness Clinic. And then lastly, the shared value is show everybody our plan. Make copies of this, leave a copy in your car, in your wallet, in your purse, bring it with you. Show everybody to the extent that what we are doing to keep ourselves safe and to keep the people, the loved ones in front of you safe. Sharing this information is just so critical. So many people have put hours into this plan. Let's all be proud of it, and let's share it so that maybe we can even affect people's lives outside of Cedarfield with this plan. So you're going to see, we're going to create magnets so you can post it on your refrigerator or give it to your loved ones. We're going to create foam boards, poster-sized boards to put these at entrances to remind team members and residents about what our shared values are. We're going to create other ways to give people this specific information so that they can share it in a variety of ways. So when I talk about trust yesterday, this is what is going to get us through these 3 phases, because we don't know how long these phases are going to last. And what we need is a rallying cry. We need a guiding compass. We need a bridge. This is our bridge. This is the foundation of the bridge. Getting across the bridge is the details in each of these phases. So, with that, it is approaching 3:30. Mark, what time do you need me to? Doing good? Okay. So we did our memo review. There we go. So don't touch my face. You like how I stopped? Thank you very much. Renee's going to give me 50 cents. Yesterday I didn't touch on the COVID-19 communication. So we now have Cedarfield Forward, which is our plan moving forward for the next 3 months of next 3 phases of how we intend to ease and gradually move into a new norm. Paralleling this Cedarfield Forward, we can't forget the preparedness plan. We actually have active COVID cases on Cedarfield right now. And so we cannot ignore the fact that the virus is here. Forget about people who are just tested positive. The virus is here no matter what. There are people who are asymptomatic that are walking around here. That's just part of life. If you have not accepted that yet, feel free to call one of the nurses, feel free to call the administration office. That is just a reality. And so we need to have this Cedarfield Forward plan. We're going to continue to talk about this plan, but we're still going to talk about our preparedness plan, because we can have a surge and a spike at any moment, and we need to be able to turn on these preparedness plans even more than what we have implemented in order to clamp down and protect people that much further. So preparedness plans, we have aggressive infection control. Again, we have that COVID-19 neighborhood up on the 4th floor. And we have really great, I want to assure people that our personal protective equipment PAR level, our inventory levels, we have a great level of inventory. We have a great level of inventory, and we continue to source and procure levels of inventory every day through the Pinnacle Living family of communities. So we are sharing resources between the 5 communities, but individually, we have great inventory levels here at Cedarfield. And then the third piece to this effort in our preparedness plan around PPE is that we are a member of the Virginia Healthcare Coalition. There are 127 members in this coalition. Henrico Doctors Hospital, St. Mary's, many nursing homes, assisted living, retirement communities, many suppliers are part of this coalition. And so every day at 8 o'clock in the morning, we send an email to this coalition that talks about how much PPE we have. The fact that we have 86,000 boxes of gloves. The fact that we have 850 face shields. We email them our inventory levels. And if we need anything, we also send to them what our burn rate is on all this PPE so that they can get a gauge of how secure Cedarfield is with our PPE levels. And then we go on a list, depending upon the numbers that we share with them, the number of residents that live here, the number of people who live in our nursing home, to gauge whether or not they should be putting us on a green, yellow, or red light type of status. So I know there's a lot of, especially on the Virginia governor's briefing today, he talked a lot about PPE, and I just want to assure everybody that we have the appropriate levels of PPE at the community here. We even have the right amount of PPE to offer the housekeeping team equipment so that when they begin to start cleaning, that they are also protected. So they're protecting themselves against the residents that are in the apartments and or cottages. So that's our preparedness plan. And then the one other thing about COVID-19 communication has to do with some statistics. I know we didn't share this yesterday. We have 59 residents that have been tested, and there are 9 residents that have tested positive. And I do need to apologize as we went back and audited these numbers. This 9 number it's changed from the last time I reported it. However, this 9 number has been that way since the beginning. We always had 9 residents that tested positive, so I apologize for the inaccurate number. But we did not have an additional test positive here over the last 24 hours. And then the team member number has not changed. We have tested 91 team members who are agency folks, and 8 team members tested positive. This next segment goes into a little segment for the families that are near and far. The supply shuttle program is going to kick back up on Friday. Today we had the supply shuttle program for folks living in the cottages. And on Friday, we will kick that program back up for people who live in the health center, assisted living, or memory support area. This little art rendering is an example of what our maintenance department is creating. So through this first phase, visitation, while you may go visit your daughter or son or a loved one outside of Cedarfield, visitation, we're not going to open up visitation in phase 1. But what the maintenance department is doing, remember how creative they were 10 weeks ago? They created those water stations, hand washing water stations. Now they're not trying, this is a blueprint of it. They are building what we call as a visitation vista. And so Jack and his team are trying to create these little vistas so that we can put these potentially out by the health center, assisted living, so we can schedule visits of loved ones so people can come and see their loved one in the health center, assisted living, or memory support. So stay tuned, over the next couple of days for more information about our invention called the Visitation Vista. And then grocery shopping is going to kick back up on, today's Wednesday. Today's Thursday. So those of you that live in the 4th floor of the main building here, if you wish to utilize grocery shopping for tomorrow, please get your order in by tonight at 8 o'clock so that Ian and the team can retrieve your orders tomorrow morning and go shopping and beat the crowd. Okay, do we have any questions coming in? Can I visit my children at their house in IL living? So if you live in independent living in the main apartments or cottages, you can absolutely feel free to go visit your children. However, I wish people would ask the question, can I go visit my children with my mask on? Can I go visit my children if I have great hand washing, good hygiene? You can go visit your family as long as, here comes the trust piece to all of this. If you're not going inside of your family's house with a mask on and keeping it on, if you're not practicing being socially, if you're going to go over to your son or daughter's house and you're going to give them a great big hug, like a smoochy smooch, then that's really not complying with a bridge over troubled waters and complying with these shared values. I can tell you I have not, this might be too much personal information, I have not hugged my wife in 12 weeks. It's painful. But I know that I could be asymptomatic. And I am not. In fact, we try to our hardest to practice social distancing in the house with 2 kids. Daddy, you're home, give me a hug. So this one's a hard one. I just want you to know that I'm practicing it. If you don't believe me, call my wife. Just tell you. What's that? Okay. And so yes, you're allowed to go visit, but please share these values with your family. Be safe. That is the most important thing. If you go over to your daughter's house or son's house, and God forbid something happens over the next couple of days with your family member, and they become COVID positive, or they were contact traced on some list, you're going to go on that list. And you're going to have to come back to Cedarfield and tell administration that you're on a contact traced list. And if you were or were not wearing your mask, or if you weren't being socially distant, all of those details give us information about what we need to do here at Cedarfield with our contact tracing with wherever you may have lived in the community or live in the community. So I know it's a long answer, it's a complicated answer, but that's the importance of trust and that we're all in this together. Please don't take lightly the following words. We are all in this together. The 90%, the 10%, 100% of us are all in this together. Any other questions? Okay. All right, Margaret, are you joining us? Margaret? Yes, Margaret has some spiritual well-being and our good news segment.
Hi everyone, I'm really happy to be back with you this afternoon. Today I brought a short poem. It is by author, poet Helen Steiner Rice. You may be familiar with her poetry. You may also be familiar with inspirational messages that she has in greeting cards and sympathy cards. This poem is entitled The Bend in the Road. Sometimes we come to life's crossroads as we view what we think is the end. But God has a much wider vision, and He knows it's only a bend. The road will go on and get smoother, and after we stop for a rest, the path that lies hidden beyond us is often the path that is best. So rest and relax and grow stronger. Let go and let God share your load. And have faith in a brighter tomorrow. You've just come to a bend in the road. And now we have good news. There we go. These precious babies are the 4 youngest great-grandchildren of resident Alice Philbin. They all live in Pittsburgh, so for the most part, she visits by FaceTime. And she says when they are all together, it's a happy time for them and an even happier time for their great-grandmother, who joins in this way. These kitties are Eric, on the far left of your screen, and May, and then Claire and Emma, who are sisters. They are 4 of her 9 great-grandchildren, and they bring her pretty happy good news most of the time. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.
One more reminder for everybody. We're going to play a song one more time. We're going to flash one more slide up here on the TV. But we have a service of remembrance starting at 4 o'clock live here on Dormana's channel. So I would encourage you, please, we are honoring 23 residents that have passed away in our community. And I know it's important to Trish, to Margaret, and to Florence. It's certainly important to me that we honor people when they move into Cedarfield, and we honor people who have passed on. So I would appreciate if you would all either hanging with us for the next 15 minutes, or grab a drink and come back and join us here at 4 o'clock for a very special service of remembrance. Thank you.